Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center, man. As you can see by the title, today we're going to be doing some film study on Ladd McConkey. So I was looking at the NFL Top 100, and I seen that he had popped up. So I was looking at his episode, and I was like, man, I didn't know this dude was working out like this. I was like, man, let me go study some film on him, man. So I'm looking forward to this. So we're going to get straight into it. So we already started off with a situational football scenario. We got a third and six. A gotta have a situation, like I always say, man, when you get to the red zone, especially in this area, because you can consider this more so the low red. That's 12 to 4 yards out from the end zone. So you most definitely want to come up with points whenever you get down here. 6 points is always much better than 3 points. So they were able to do that on this play. So it looks like on this play right here, Las Vegas was in a cover zero. So I thought that they had sent a maybe, 5-6. I thought maybe they had a 7-man blitz, but they dropped the outside backer, I believe. Let me go back to it. So they dropped the outside backer right there. He dropped back, and then they send the middle linebacker to try to, create a stunt and to try to confuse the offensive line to give him a clear shot, which he almost did have a pretty clean shot on it. I'm assuming that Herbert was able to identify that it was probably going to be some pressure. When you see him crowding the line of scrimmage like that, kind of somewhat in a double mug look, you pretty much know that for the most part, some pressure is probably coming. Or if they don't pressure, they're probably going to drop back in the coverage. But on third and longs and third and sixes and stuff like that, most defensive coordinators are going to get greedy, and they're going to try to send the house so they can, get a sack or rush or throw to, limit them to just maybe just the 3 points opposed to a touchdown. So they had a man coverage all across the board in the secondary, and number 7, he just kind of did a horrible job at reacting, and then he did a very horrible job at tackling. Poor fundamentals right there. And he just put them into a blender for a walk-in touchdown, man. But you know how much I love them third and six, those gotta have it moments, because that shows you how much of a playmaker a guy really is. It's easy to make plays when pressure is not on you. It's easy to make plays when you up, when you're ahead on the scoreboard, when you're ahead of the sticks. It's easy to make plays now when you're behind, or when you're tied, or when it's a third and six, a guy to have it, a third down or a fourth down. That's when we see the real playmakers. So on this play right here, man, we got another guy to have a situation, a third and six play. So it's a couple of things to diagnose on this play right here. So first of all, I want to put a spotlight on the running back. If you are a running back watching this video by any chance, this is a definition of how you do a blitz pickup. Watch the running back pick up the blitz and linebacker. Watch it. And he got a free shot. Boom. Pick him up. Allow him to deliver the pass to McConkey. So now we're going to get down to McConkey. So I'm looking at the coverage, and I'm trying to see, Carolina was in maybe a cover one, because you look at the one deep defender that's down, and he goes out of frame eventually. So it looks like they're in a cover one. But the thing that kind of had me questioning, and I believe it was a man coverage, because the thing is this: when you look at the running back stayed back to blitz pickup, to pick up the blitz and linebacker, right? So he didn't go out for a pass. So whenever you're in man coverage, normally the linebackers, they'll do the banjo technique, meaning that depending on what side the running back releases, that linebacker will take him, and then the other linebacker would be free to blitz, or he would be free to spot a quarterback if they were dealing with a quarterback that could actually run. Herbert's not really a running quarterback, so they just dropped both of their linebackers back into coverage. But when you look at number 7, I believe, he's watching Herbert's eyes, so he's not really looking at McConkey. So McConkey does a good job at being patient in his route pattern, and that's a outside linebacker, by the way, too. So one-on-one, you don't like that option. Watch him do a good job at kind of setting them up, hesitate, freeze, kind of hit the little Devontae Adams hop, but he didn't hop off the line of scrimmage, but he hopped into his break. And it's just good route running, man. Probably good play calling to be able to get that matchup, him matched up on the outside linebacker, and then just good execution, a good catch, and get a good job at getting a little bit of yak after that catch. So right here on this play, it's a few things to unpack. So they got a very, very tight formation, a bunch formation, to try to create mismatches as they did here. So you seen I think, was it the previous play, or it might have been the play before that, where they end up getting him matched up on a linebacker. The same thing happened on this play right here. You see they got him end up matched on Patrick McQueen. So obviously, Patrick McQueen is not necessarily known for his cover skills like most linebackers. They can cover to a degree, but not necessarily nobody that's as shifty as receivers, more so for bigger tight ends. But that's the benefit of running an offensive formation like this, because it looks like much more of a heavier set. And then you have it all kind of tightened up. So defenses base their alignment based off of formations. So whenever you're doing that, it can create mismatch, especially if communications isn't had the proper way. And then you can get matchups like receivers matched up on linebackers, just like you did right here on this play right here. So good play calling and good execution on the Chargers part. So I think that a category in terms of receivers that we don't often talk a lot about is the ability to make tough catches, just like on this play right here. So right here in the Kansas City game, you got a red area possession. Obviously, y'all know my thing, and I always say about when you get to the red area, you want to come up with touchdowns, not field goals. I don't think this was a third down play, though. I believe this was a second down play. But just look at the difficulty on this catch. So for one, I want to give Justin Herbert a shout out too, just for the ball placement, being able to put that ball in a place to where only his receiver can get it, and he took a hit on that play as well. So being able to stand up in the pocket and deliver a pass for a touchdown, you gotta tip your hats off to that. So now we're gonna go to McConkey's side of it, man. Just being able to kind of work back through the hand fighting with the safety right here. I think that's Cook on this play, and then being able to make the adjustment and make the touchdown catch and secure the ball before he hits the ground. That's incredible, man. You always hear me talk about like catch radius. And like I stated in another video that a lot of people think that catch radius, to have a high catch radius, you have to be very tall and long. Not necessarily. You just have to be able to contort your body and to make adjustments, in tight formation, especially in the red area, because at that point, the separation in the red area is not going to be like it would be if you're if you farther out from it, because everything is so condensed and tight. So you have to be able to maneuver and operate in phone booths in situations like this. So it's easy to blow the top off of defense whenever you working from the opposite end of the field, from the 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever the case may be. But when you get down to those more congested areas, now that speed that you have kind of diminishes, in a sense, the effectiveness of it at least. And now it's about your shiftiness in your route running and your ability to make adjust your body and make tough catches. So right here, this is a 2nd and 11. Chargers are in a a three receiver set. So it looked like Kansas City might have been in a quarters coverage to a degree, because they shown too high at the snap before the snap. And like as the ball was snapped, when the ball was snapped, the safety on the opposite side came crimson. I think that was Justin Reed. He came creeping down. So it looks like, obviously when you're in cover 4, you're going to be a read defender if you're a safety. If you're going to be reading the second receiver. So if you're the safety on this side, the strong safety, the free safety, you're going to be reading the slot guy. If the slot guy goes out for a pass, then obviously you're going to stay back and stick to your zone. Same thing with the strong safety. If he's reading the slot receiver, but in this situation it wasn't a slot receiver, but you did have the tight end. So the tight end went out as if he was finna block. So he came crashing down, and as soon as he came crashing down, Justin Herbert just threw the slant and kind of just filled in back where he was coming down there, kind of like right there, boom. And it was just an easy catch and run after that, man. So just good execution on the Chargers part of that too, just being able to, identify what was going on, identify exactly the defense they was in, and you could tell that that's the side he was going to regardless, because you like that matchup idealistically, with McConkey in the slot being covered. Now, granted, he was in this situation being covered by a slot corner. And I mean, you could say that the corner probably could have maybe got up at the line of scrimmage and kind of got a little bit more aggressive with him, try to jam him and throw off the timing and slow him down. I'm trying to see what shade did he have on that one. So like he kind of did take the outside shade. Obviously, his help was inside, or he was expecting his help to be inside, and, kind of gave him a free release and, and ended up biting him in the end. But just a good route from him, from McConkey, man, just releasing and, boom, putting that foot in the ground and getting upfield, making himself a target and then being able to rack up some yards after the catch. So what's crazy, man? Out of all the plays that I've covered so far, the one that was the most crucial, it had to be against my New Orleans Saints, man. Come on, man. Why you had to do us like that, man? Why you have to make us look bad? But but it was honestly good coverage on Alontae Taylor's end. You see that with McConkey, he tried to fake as if he was going for a block, so he kind of stuttered. But Alontae Taylor was patient with him. He didn't really over pursue or try to get overly aggressive with him at the line. He kind of just stayed back, was patient, and then eventually McConkey released. I don't think that he has like the most threatening speed vertically. I think a lot of his damage that I've seen him do be so more horizontally. So, it's not like he's really just going to outrun you or run past you. Alontae Taylor was really right there with him step for step. He did a good job at getting his head around to locate the ball, a little hand fighting. And, McConkey just ended up coming up with the catch on his end. But that's good. That was good football on his end, too, to be able to deal with the aggressiveness of Alontae Taylor right up here. When he turned around and try to locate the ball, he's going to get a little handsy with him. He's able to fight through the contact. Boom, give me that. After he get that catch, now let me run after that. Come in time, Matthew. We put him in a blend cycle. Then he split number 14. he split him and Tyrann Mathieu before he go in for a touchdown. So yeah, man, he just made my boys look real bad on that play. But like I said, man, good coverage on Alontae Taylor end. You can't play that no better than that. The only thing that you possibly could have did was maybe put yourself in a better position to probably try to deflect the ball. But hey, when you're dealing with good players like this guy right here, you know, from time to time, man, you're gonna give up plays like this. So just phenomenal execution on that end. So right here, you got a big time play in a big time moment. I mean, it's a tie ball game. They're trying to make a run, trying to move the ball down the field, and it's always good when you can get it all in one play opposed to having to string together 2 or 3 plays to get 20 or 30 yards. One play to get 20 or 30 yards is always so much better because it just takes the energy out of a defense, and McConkey does that here. So it looks like he ran that from a slant route, and it's like he ran like an out and up. So he showed the defender as if he was going to break outside, and that's why I always tell you guys, too, pay attention to splits. So look at when I say split, what do I mean by split? Splits is how far the receivers are lined up. So you look at McConkey on this play right here. He's lined up in a slot, but he's a lot closer to the line of scrimmage than, you know, typically he would be in a slot position, right? Kind of almost was right there next to the tight end. So as a defensive back, sometimes you got to ask yourself, okay, why is he lined up this way? To create more space for him to get an outbreaking route. So that's where he did a good job at selling an outbreaking route and turned it upfield, and then made a very tough catch in traffic. And that's one of the things that I like to see from a receiver, man. It's easy to make catches when nobody is on you or blown coverages and things of that nature. But when you got to make the tough catches like the one he made against Kansas City in the end zone, the one that he made against the Saints on Alontae Taylor on that the catch and run, and then the one he had on number 0, I believe, in the back of the end zone in that Saints game, just like the one he makes here. To me, this is where receivers make their bread and butter in those clutch situations, man. Can you make those difficult catches, and can you do them whenever they need it, whenever you need them, they're needed the most? So one of the things that stood out to me on this play right here, technically this game is not over with. They're down by 14, 2 minutes left, and I think they only got 1 timeout, and this was a 4th down play. But the thing that stood out to me was the level of competitiveness. You know what I mean? Those are things that, you know, you want to look at whenever you're analyzing players, receivers, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's easy to look good and to be high energetic whenever things are going good. But my thing is, can you still have that same approach to the game when things aren't necessarily going the best? And then, you know, he just cashed in on what he's very good at, and that's being able to go up with strong hands, attack the ball, and make tough catches in traffic. So, man, you know, it's a lot to like about this young man. So in this play right here, he shows that he can not only hurt you underneath, but given opportunity, he can hurt you over the top. So it looks like New England was in some type of man coverage. It looks like they might have been in cover 1 because, like I said, I was able to count 10 guys, and the last person was out of frame. So more times than not, that's a single high look, and there's only 2 defenses for the most part you're going to run out of that. Now you have different variations, meaning that depending on the style or the variation of that play, the responsibilities might be altered just a tad bit, not really that much, but it looks like they was in a cover 1 play, and, you know, he just really ran past the corner on this play. The corner was playing off coverage, like he might have been shaded to. Well, he was actually shaded towards the outside. Yeah, shaded towards the outside. So, you know, possibly trying to push him inside where his help was at. But, you know, he just ran slap past the corner and the safety, you know, because it don't look like his only deep route or his only deep threat. Well, it did like they had 3 different verticals on that play. So like they had McConkey going vertical, and like they had the outside guy on the right side going vertical. And I'm assuming that the outside guy on the left side went vertical as well. So now that puts the safety in a compromised position, you know, because now he has to try to decide which one does he want to stay over top and which one does he want to help on. And just a split-second delay, that's a touchdown on either end. All right, so I'm going to end it off with this play right here. So one thing I did notice from a couple plays that I didn't put in this video was his activity whenever they're having to go off script. So what do I mean by going off script? So going off script is when you have a play designed and just so happens something like what happened here, a defensive lineman just disrupts the whole offensive front and get pressure on your quarterback. Now your quarterback has to roll it out of the pocket, or your quarterback is looking for a certain receiver. He's not open, or he slips and falls down. Now he's having to kind of try to wing it. So he's been very good at identifying whenever those situations take place and making himself an option for his quarterback. So in this play right here in the red area, you remember how I said early on in the video too, that when you get to the red area, you have to become much more shiftier. Your route running has to be a little bit more precise now, because the opportunity for separation becomes so much more minimal because of the condensed field position. So if you look at him, he works his way. It looks like he ran some type of just a little slant, got in behind the defense right there, and it might have been a temporary opening, but with the pressure up front, Herbert had to roll out of the pocket. So for him to go to one side of the field and realize and identify that, okay, my quarterback is out of the pocket now, let me make myself an option. So he works all the way back from the other side of the field to be able to catch this 2-point conversion on a broken play from Justin Herbert. So that's just great recognition on his end, and great ability for Justin Herbert to be able to extend the play long enough to try to allow something to develop down the field. Like you always hear me say, the hardest route in football to guard is whenever the quarterback gets out of the pocket and now the receivers can kind of reroute themselves, try to find those soft spots in the midst of those defenses, and sit down and give their quarterback opportunity to throw. And I kind of look at it too, like when we look at basketball, when you think about Steph Curry, one of the things that makes Steph Curry so dangerous is his ability to play off the ball, meaning just always moving and trying to put himself in position to create open shots, to just get small gaps to be able to drive. So you correlate that the same thing to football when it comes to receiver on broken plays, or even the jump snaps off sides, like how Aaron Rodgers is able to do that. Just being aware of that and just knowing how to capitalize on those opportunities whenever they make themselves present. But man, he's a phenomenal receiver, man. I like him. There's a lot to like about him. Like I said, I like his run after the catch. I like his physicality in terms of being able to make tough catches. And a lot of the passes I'm seeing, even when he was making tough catches, he was catching them with his hands opposed to his body. Now, granted, some situations that presented, you probably are going to have to use your body, just depending on the city. Like if you're in a bad position like the one he kind of was in when he caught the one in the back of the end zone against Kansas City. So sometimes you might have to use your body, but you would prefer to kind of catch it with your hands, because for one, what it does is it allows you, for one, to be able to secure the catch, but then two, it prevents the DB from really being able to make a play on the ball, because it's not conformed tight to your body. Your arms, you kind of attack it, and it's harder for a DB to try to get around you to try to make a play on it. But man, I'm gonna read off his stats from the 2024 season. So he had 110 targets, 82 receptions, 1,149 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns, and he only dropped 6 passes on the season. So that's pretty good. Obviously, you want to make sure that whenever your hands get a hold to the ball or touch the ball, however it does, you want to try to make sure you bring it in. That's kind of the fundamental aspect of being a wide receiver. The most important thing of being a wide receiver is really catching the ball, because you can run the perfect route and the receiver and the defensive back fall on the ground, but if you drop the catch, then what good is it? You know what I mean? So that's one of the key parts of being a receiver, and having a sure-handed receiver like this, it comes in handy on those third down plays, those fourth down plays, those gotta have it moments when you gotta have it, kind of almost similar to this 2-point conversion. But man, if you enjoyed this video, man, do me a big favor, smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and when you subscribe, make sure you got that notification bell turned on, and when you be that way you'll be notified every time I upload. My bad, started over my words a little bit, but I'll see y'all in the next video.